In this video series, I'm going to be working with Rhett. Rhett, at the time, I want to say he was like 13, something like that. These are older videos. He's an off-the-track thoroughbred gelding, and you're going to see me work on a few things, but in this lesson specifically, I want to work on walk, trot, and canter transitions using positive reinforcement. So those are the things that I want to work on and show that we can use positive reinforcement while we're riding. And that's just a little bit about Rhett. And he's kind of your typical thoroughbred, wants to be pretty forward. Can be pretty tight under saddle depending. So that's what we're going to work on. So when I get on him, my first thing is just letting him stand. And then I'm obviously not perfect, so I should have done definitely some things differently, like where he's standing and relaxing. I should have reinforced that a lot more than I did like forward movement. So he stood in really nicely there while I got on and then waited afterward. And then I went ahead and asked him to move forward. And this looks like a pretty nice relaxed walk. So far, this looks pretty good. I'm going to possibly cut off some parts because this is a pretty long video. I just went ahead and filmed the whole session, and so I might just cut some things out. Also, it's going to be parts of it are going to be far away. Like I'm going to go to the other end of the round pen and I'm going to be small. If you can watch it on a full screen, that would probably be best, but it just takes way too much time for me to zoom in on every clip, and that it would just take forever. So um, hopefully I'll just cut up the pieces that are the best information and then you can kind of still see what's going on. But I kind of just have to make do with what I have. So just going to have Rhett start off by walking nice and relaxed, and then we're just going to change directions. I like to try to keep him on a pretty loose rein. At the time, we were playing with different bits. This is, let's see, this video is from 2019, so it's a long time ago. I'm voicing this over like, it's been 3-4 years. So um, I eventually found a bit that I rode him in, and then I rode him in like a jumping hackamore, so just essentially a noseband. But this time that's what we were playing with, just seeing which one he liked, because he really didn't like a lot of them. I had to find a specific one for him. So here I'm just kind of bending on him and asking him to just relax and soften to the bit a little bit. Um, and he does that well. It just kind of did like a little circle. He softens, and then I let him go straight out on this bigger circle here. Ask him for a trot. That's a very nice trot transition for him. He usually wants to jump into it pretty quickly, and I'm trying to get him to work on just being nice and relaxed in his trot, being relaxed in any forward gait, so the trot and the canter are big deals for him. That looks really good. Nice downward transition. Definitely could have reinforced that because that is beautiful. Even though I think he offered that on his own, that was one of the things that I struggled with, was reinforcing behaviors that they're giving me that I was looking for. So you say all the time in negative reinforcement, like, oh, don't let them kind of like fall out of the trot or give you a different behavior. But with clear training, it's going to be a little bit different. And if I'm working on that, I'm okay with rewarding that if he offers it to me, at least in the beginning. So then I made him go back into trot, and then he again had a really nice trot, and then I reinforced it. So I got too stuck on reinforcing forward behaviors. That was another issue that I had. And then, like, he would do them really well, but then he'd be like a little bit anxious about doing like a trot or going into canter. And then I would have a little bit more attention than I needed. So I definitely didn't do a great job of balancing him. So by that, I mean reinforcing him for standing still, for doing downward transitions. For just walking calmly, those kind of things I needed to put more weight in and feed more often and reinforce more often, so again he would have more motivation to do those specific behaviors. But at this time I was definitely still in my experimental phase with clicker training, so I didn't do everything perfect. But I'm going to speed this up and move on to the next part that we're doing. Oh, we're going to walk off. Okay, so didn't need to do that. But it is important. I'm going to cut up the video, but it is important to see that he does stand still for quite a while, and that I have that in my training. That's really important, especially for a horse like him. He needs to have that time where he sits, and ideally is rewarded for that. Like, I definitely should have reinforced that, because I'm going to point out the times I reinforce, and then like I reinforced that trot. So I reinforced going forward so far, but then I'm confused as to why I'm getting too much forward behavior. So that's the thing with this, and that's just one of those things I didn't know at the time. So then we're going to go back into the trot. Decent trot for him. This looks pretty good. He does have a tendency to, there he goes into canter. There's his little canter. So about the trot is he does have a tendency to do like a shorted stride trot, kind of like preparing to go into canter. Um, so you might see him do that a bit. And then I did ask him to go into canter, and I did teach him to have a nice, like, slower transition with clicker training. So I started that on the ground and asked him to just lunge, and then when he would get into it nicely, I would click and reinforce, and then I'm doing this same exact thing under saddle. And I literally started with like the thought of him getting into canter. So from trot, if he's thinking about cantering, he's shifting his weight back, he's about to get into it, I'd click and feed. And then I would have one stride, click and feed, two strides, click and feed. I think you had 2 or 3 strides there. I literally did it stride by stride. But on the flip side here, also, I reinforced him for already once for trotting and once for cantering. So I got to be really careful here. I should have been doing much more reinforcing for him standing still, relaxing, and walking and having downward transitions as well. So I'm kind of creating my own problem. But I did create a very nice canter transition. So I do like that. I could have done it better. It wasn't the clicker training itself, it was how I applied it. All right, I'm going to cut through some of him standing still. And then I like to start all the time by asking him to go forward. I'm going to see where he's at mentally at walk. Is he relaxed at walk, or is he trying to go right into trot? And then same thing with trot. Once we get into trot, is he staying at trot? Is he trying to go back to walk, or is he ready to go into canter? I'm always looking for those things. So this looks like a quite good walk. I definitely, again, should be reinforcing this so that I don't have a horse that's just go, 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 go all the time. See how I asked for trot and he's thinking, oh, I'm going to canter because I had just reinforced that. There. So he does like one trot side and he's like, I can canter. And he really rocks back and has a nice canter. But see how he's doing a trot canter mix there? And then he kind of does like a couple of normal trot strides, and then I reinforce that. So if you see him like moving kind of weird, that's why. Um, but yeah, so I did a better trot, so I'm okay with reinforcing that. But still, I've only reinforced forward behavior, so gotta be really careful with that. I need to be reinforcing the standstill. I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but it's really important. And if I knew this at the time, I would have saved myself a lot of frustration. Okay, so I cut through him staying still. So he stood still for a good couple minutes there. That is very nice. I'm very happy that he can do that, but I should be reinforcing it. So back into our walk. This looks really good. He's focused on me. He looks pretty relaxed. And right now I'm just doing things in the round pen. So he's on a loose rein. He's just going off of my voice cues. Nice downward transition there. That was really pretty. That was a good balancing reinforcements first. So reinforcing him for doing a downward transition. That was really good. But right now that's what I'm focusing on, is just those voice cues, going into those transitions, specifically working on the trot and the canter, but in the round pen right now. So I don't really have to think about anything else. I don't have to think about steering and stuff like that. So that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm doing it in the round pen. So again, a very nice standstill. He also does that thing where he kind of rocks back and then goes into walk. Kind of forgot about that. I had taught him to back up with my leg cues, and I had put them in 2 different spots. So forward would be up at the girth. If I slid both my legs back, he would back up. And so he was kind of confused between those. There he's thinking about getting into canter, and I'm like, no, see, he's thinking too much forward here. Again, he's kind of thinking about going into canter, and then it's very pretty, but it's too much. So, and I just kind of flex him and saying, no, let's not go into canter. Let's just go into trot. And then, oh, he's thinking about it again. He's trying so hard for me though, and he's not being bad. He's offering me, look how beautiful those little strides were. Like if I would just let him do it or have him balance out those standing still behaviors, it would have been so much easier. But anyways, that's why you see him walk back at the walk, and then um, he did a couple of trot strides here, so I'm reinforcing that. But what I really need to be doing is reinforcing those stand still stop behaviors, because I'm still, even though I'm doing like I'm reinforcing the trot, it's still like that more forward behavior, and so I'm gonna still get more of that. And I'm gonna walk forward again. He rocks back a little bit before he goes forward. Again, beautiful walk. He has got the walk down. Like we did do a lot of time at the walk because he would want to just kind of pop and trot. And again, we're still going to have some of that, but we did spend a lot of time there getting him nice and relaxed. And that does seem to work and stick well with him because I did focus on just that gait. So again, I'm asking for trot and he's thinking about cantering. So I'm trying to slide my hand down that left rein. I put a little bit of a bend in him and he kind of comes back down. So then he took a couple trot strides forward and I'm reinforcing that. So I'm trying to pick out like the trot. I was too focused on the trot and overlooking that I was still reinforcing a forward behavior. So again, cut out where we were standing still. So he stands still really well. Going back into the walk looks really good. And then we'll see what our trot looks like better, but see how he's kind of really collecting up, like preparing to canter. So I want him to kind of stretch down, move forward, and just trot and not think we're going to be doing something else. So really looking back at this, I wouldn't have reinforced right there because I do want him to relax a little bit more. Um, I got some better strides, but I don't think they were necessarily like good enough. Um, but he looks good here. Like again, I like the stopping and the staying still, and he's paying attention really well. He does have that. See, he rocks back and then goes forward. I forgot that he did that. But yeah, he pays attention to me so much better than when I rode him without the positive reinforcement. It's just night and day. He would be looking at different stuff. He'd be worried about different things. He has those moments still, but it's much better. Back into trot. And I reinforced here because he didn't try to go into canter. So the other times he either tried to go into canter or he was rocking back and he didn't go into canter, but he was kind of preparing for it. This one, he just trotted. So it wasn't my like ideal trot, but he did just trot. Then he stands still for a while. He goes into his walk and I pick up the rein and he just responds to it really nice. So the steering looks really good, at least at the walk. So make sure I have that relaxed walk. Ask for that trot. See, he goes right to get her. Very cute, but not what I wanted. There we go. That looks better. And see, he's too like, not really necessarily collected, but he's too much thinking about the canter and not just stretching out into that trot. So for the rest of this part of the video, he's just staying still. And then I do have a part two. I just cut it into two pieces because it was quite long.